Hello and welcome to the first AniMay movies. Tonight's pick was starting off with a very controversial pick here, Batman Ninja. And I guess kind of the controversial part is, would one call Batman Ninja an anime? Since it was created by, Western producers who were like, yeah, let's have Batman be a ninja, because he's essentially a ninja anyway. And for the intents and purposes of this, yeah. Especially with... It's all the fucking director, we basically worship the director and feel that movies are their creative vision. So, we'll say yeah. Pretty much all of the key staff on this are Japanese. And there is a cross appeal to it. It's not just American producers saying we want this for the American audience and it's hard coded to the American audience. This is obviously something that has cross appeal with Japan as well. So yeah, the central premise is Gorilla Grodd creates time machine, invites a bunch of villains to it. Batman interferes and gets sent back into Japan. Catwoman meets him there. A bunch of other people show up later. They got there 2 years before Batman. Batman arrives 2 years after they do. He arrives 2 years after everyone seems to, because the Joker has already in this time seized power. Batman gets there. He immediately gets dropped in the middle of a town and sees a wanted poster for himself and immediately gets attacked by soldiers. Flees. While he flees, he meets Catwoman. Catwoman introduces him to Alfred, who has the Batmobile, and Batman's like, yeah, I'm gonna storm Joker's castle with the Batmobile, because I fought him earlier. He's got too big a samurai posse. I can't get him. He is too defensible right now. So he storms the castle with the Batmobile. Everyone starts shooting at him with their little powder guns. They ting off of his thing. You get where I'm going with this. The Batmobile plows through all the soldiers, but Joker's smart. He puts caltrops. Batman has a magnetized bumper and he sucks him up. Joker's like, alright, fuck you, bats. And he activates what is ostensibly a fucking mech. He turns his castle into a mech, completely embarrasses Batman, and Batman's like, oh, fuck. And at the end, when Batman finally manages to get into the castle, Joker's like, haha, you have got me. But are you really going to fight me? Or are you going to save that helpless woman down below? And he lowers his castle to crush her. Batman, of course, goes down to save her. And everyone knows from a mile what's going on, because Joker's been there for 2 years. Where'd this woman come from while he was storming a castle for 10, 20 minutes, probably, in the actual universe of the Batman, and she's just there on the ground. So Batman goes to save her, gets beaten up by sumo wrestler Bane, who shows up nowhere else but that scene. He then saves the woman, who is of course Harley Quinn. She beats him up. Batman is defeated. He is cornered by Joker and his samurai, but then all of a sudden a bunch of bats show up and he disappears in the midst of bats after being saved by, I think it's Nightwing. Batman goes to a ninja complex because there's just apparently a group of ninjas in Japan who worship a bat person who will come when their country is in chaos. Batman is the mystical white man in Japan, and they're trying to get it back. So the premise is all of the bad guys of Gotham are fighting in, the feudal era to gain control of Japan. They have they have a bunch of fucking people. They don't fucking matter. But when Catwoman is first giving Batman this information, it shows it in, I guess, what's supposed to be like a technological grid or some shit, but it shows them, and it, I swear, it looks, because they have two, like, designs of, like, two, like, opposing villains, and it looks like they designed it as a Pokemon fight. It looks like they're about to have a fucking Pokemon fight. And it's ostensibly a video game, because when it does the close-up to them, like, their face kind of morphs, they have a title card, and then they do their little quip. And, yeah. I guess the only villain of note in it is Two-Face, because he is a vassal of the Joker, and not just some guy who's vying for his own individual power. The Joker kind of bothered me, because he was, like, the crazy leader, when he definitely should have been just, like, a kabuki mono, which I guess he kind of is in spirit, but, like, kabuki mono were just, like, fucking crazy people who were, like, ex-samurai or, like, Ronin or whatever, and they were basically just guys who would go into restaurants, like Dine and Dash, and were just fucking crazy people who made life a living hell for everyone else. Fun stuff. But I'm kind of going to skip to the end now, because a lot of my problems can be tied into the final fight. So, the animation is kind of this weird CG, and it's actually really cool to watch and is well done. But all of the action scenes, like almost all of them, especially like all of the fight scenes in particular, are cut way too close. They flash between actions way too fast, different perspectives. There's no like point that grounds all of them together. It's everywhere, and there's just no context. There's just no point. There's no frame of reference. It's just all over the place, and I hate it. It's the kind of animation that I feel like Sakuga people really like for some reason, but that I don't. 'Cause, oh boy, it's very busy, but it's also very hard to make out 100% of what's going on. So they have all that going on for it. It's awful. I hate it. And a while before this final fight, it is a fight between like all the villains and their castles, which happen to all be mechs, because of course they are. Deathstroke's is it's like a Gundam from Mobile Fighter G Gundam. The one that his brother's in, with like the other head under it that just fires a bunch of missiles. That's essentially what it is. And when they were first going into the final battle, I thought, okay, they're going to infiltrate each mech, like a single one of them, and have like a cool fight with the guy who was controlling the mech, like Poison Ivy, Deathstroke, Two-Face, all that shit. And it was just going to be all of Batman's buddies, old Robin, old Red Hood, all that shit. No. That does happen later, but not when you expect it. They just all have to have the mechs. They fight each other. Gorilla Grodd revealed all along that he had them under his mind control, activated that mind control, and then transformed the mechs together into a bigger mech, and yeah. After transforming them into the bigger mech, Joker, who we thought either died or became an amnesiac after a near-death experience, comes in, kicks him out of it, transforms them for real this time, and what he transforms them into is a combination of, like, it looks like a Transformer mixed up with a Power Rangers mech transformation. The perfect storm of America's love of mecha, but nothing too Japanese, you heard me? Nothing too out there from what Americans like. And right after that, they're all running away from it. And they have a bunch of explosions behind him. Literally, like Power Rangers. It's fun. After they run and are like, no, we can't do nothing. Gorilla Grodd, who has retreated with them after being kicked out and saved by Batman, along with Catwoman, is like, take my flute. It controls my army of monkeys. Okay. It's played. Literally millions of monkeys come and make their own mech, which Robin, who creates it with the flute, even calls a mech / giant samurai. They make their own giant samurai. They fight the Joker pretty good. Everyone jumps on it to get into Joker's mech. Joker fires a stream of fire, and then actually all the monkeys coming together was like really good animation, and it was like fucking awesome, and the art style practically changed for it, and it's great, and I want to tell everyone that that's great. But after they're getting pulled up to it, the Joker just shoots a bunch of fire onto them. The monkeys start melting and dropping, and then a bunch of bats swarm around it and create Batman. They create Batman. And it's not like the Batman in the movie or nothing. It is like old school Batman with like the underwear and like the utility belt and all that in the colors of Batman. And the ninjas look at this, point at it, and say, "It is the legendary ninja." Okay. Oh, alright, that's cool. And at this point, Batman breaks in, fights with the Joker a bit. At some point, it is even really made clear, the mind control on everyone else gets broken, so they do, like, each of the individual characters get their, like, little fight with the other people, and they seem to not be mind controlled, but they fight. It flashes between all of them and Batman versus the Joker, and you can't even really tell what's going on, because they're not in frame fighting the same person for long enough. It's just flashing around to a bunch of different ones, and as I've said before, the combat is very up in its face and everywhere and too close to tell what's going on. So yeah, it's pretty gross. Poison also has like a character design that looks kind of just like Poison from Final Fight, so that's funny. That Poison's designed like that. Yeah, the last fight is of course between the Joker and the Batman. And the oh god, I forgot. At one of the points where Batman's running like towards like the Joker's mech or whatever, he has his sword with the edge down. And I yelled at the TV. That upset me. That is a thing that I will become upset by. But at the end, Batman has his katana with a bat guard, and Joker, of course, pulls out a saber, which I feel like his pulling out a saber is supposed to, like, I guess typecast him as the guy we shouldn't root for. I don't want to say, like, the bad guy specifically, because I feel like it's more of the mythologization of the katana, the samurai sword, rather than it is, like, Joker's, I guess, more modern, like, kind of colonizer stance in here. And then they have, like, a big dumb sword fight with obligatory Joker lines like, "You can't kill me, can you, Bats? See, you can't kill me. Ha-ha! You get it? 'Cause Batman doesn't kill villains. Woo! Oh boy. He beats the fuck out of Batman as Batman, like, you know, retaliates by punching him and stuff. Eventually, he pushes Batman off of the cliff, laughs maniacally, And then Batman's body, falling down the cliff, dissolves into bats. Batman is behind the Joker now. You can't trust your eyes, can ya? And he like goes around. Batman, at this point, this is some of like the only good fighting scenes in the movie, because there's like some room to breathe, because in between him transforming into a swarm of bats and like forming back up, he'll be different distances away, so there'll be time to like get a reference point in your brain and be like, okay, here's how they're spaced. Batman's doing some dynamic movement and all. And the rotating camera is still kind of like a problem, but it's cooler at that point. And then at one point, when Batman teleports or whatever right into the front of frame and has a full shot on his entire body, he's literally doing Naruto hand signs. Batman goes full Naruto. It's crazy. It's madness. It's a crazy movie. I did a disservice by going to the end, because now I'm not sure what I've talked about and what I haven't. So one of the big things in this is Batman being lost without his technology. So, like, Batman loses his Batmobile. He's like, fuck, I can't do nothing with the Batmobile. He teams up with Grodd to fight Joker on his ship. Gets of course double crossed by Grodd, and he gets blown up on a ship with the Joker, who he's like, nah, I gotta stay on this ship to beat Joker. And then wakes up 2 days later, has a heartfelt speech about how I thought I had lost everything. I didn't have my technology. I couldn't do it without my technology. I forgot who I was. And this kind of wasn't really felt through a lot of the other stuff in it. Like, I feel like Batman's always been there because of his resourcefulness, but this movie kind of just boils him down to tech at the start and frames it as him getting back to his roots of being a crazy martial arts man. It's I never really felt, I guess it feels like he was too reliant on the technology, but even when he combats Joker before, it doesn't show him defeated enough without his technology first for it to feel like that whole speech was earned. Even though I understand where it's coming from and serves to make the movie more interesting, I feel like it should have been felt more than it was shown. And I'm really losing things to talk about this with. I guess I liked the movie overall. My biggest problem was that all of the villains except Two-Face and Joker and Grodd don't really mean anything. Like, Batman isn't at all interesting in this. Batman isn't at all, like, fun in this. Batman, his whole thing in this is getting played by all of the villains. His whole thing is reacting to them when they already are using him and using everyone else. It's not fun. None of the other villains matter. Like, you never see them until the end, and even at the end, they're just very quickly mind controlled. It's mind-boggling how little thought they put into the villains. This probably should have been like maybe like a 6-episode show or something instead of like a 1.5 hour long movie, because I feel like the villains just should have had way more, if not screen time, at least development, because I can't remember a single real detail about them. I guess Poison Ivy had plants and she had like some plant castle, but she's the plant girl. Like, I could have told you that before I watched it. Penguin has an army of penguins that don't do anything, but are shown to exist. Deathstroke has a beautiful woman on his arm. Two-Face's mech wasn't two-faced. They were, I guess, like some kind of goddess figure. which probably has more coding in her, but there's so little I feel going on with this movie, and it's the Joker makes everything fun as he should. I know there were like a couple times when I genuinely laughed because his castle, one of like the way he gets out of it is it has like a party blower that rolls out and he slides down it, and I found that was like the most hilarious thing in the movie when it first comes up. And then it comes up again later on, and it's just as big as a laugh. But it's just a movie with like 4 or 5 double crosses in it, and it's just Batman getting played, man. It's an okay movie. Go watch it if you like Batman. If you like dumb shit like Batman being a ninja, which he is, but if you want to being a ninja in feudal Japan, I feel like the ninjas didn't really do anything. They kind of served more symbolically to give Batman hope, but after they kind of take over the boat, there's not really anything else to them. And even when they take over the boat, they don't like do anything against like either Joker or Harley Quinn or like interact with them. They basically, I guess, just take out the samurai threats with like off screen. So it's an interesting movie that I feel like they could have done a lot more with, as I always kind of feel with a lot of stuff, but it's fun. I think I give it, as far as like cartoon movies go, 6. Thanks for listening, guys.